So we've been talking about differences in perception and different vibratory energies. There was a period in my life where my perception changed for about 2 weeks, and everything was slower. I saw people moving in slow motion. I got terrified that the airplane I was on wasn't going fast enough to take off. Can you help me understand where I went and what that meant?
Well, we would not describe it as harshly as you went someplace else, but time is a perceptual thing. Everything is a perceptual thing. So something apparently shifted in your perception. What was going on around that time?
Oh, well, I was in a plane crash, and after following that for a couple of weeks, as I said, it was like the time-space reality shifted for me, and I wanted to kind of understand what that contrast was about, and why I so desperately wanted things to speed up. Was it a level of comfort, or?
Well, if you had been steeped in this premise clarifying work prior to that, so that you were aware of this vibrational reality and that it's already done and that your work is to just find a way to line up with it, then we would say that it could be that you were just wanting things to speed back up to what was normal. But when we say everything is perceptual, it's interesting that when you first presented this awareness that things had slowed down, and you didn't mention the plane crash, it made it seem more odd than once you mentioned the plane crash. In other words, it's pretty easy to understand how when something happens that is so big by Earth standards that it would cause you to sort of restructure the way you were looking at things. It may very well be that in that process of that experience, your desire for continuation of your experience caused you to temporarily step into vibrational alignment with who you really are.
So that was vibrational alignment.
In a stronger way, which made everything else appear to be... You hear people talking about how their life slowed down and they saw their whole life pass before their eyes. And, and usually when people talk of that kind of perception of time difference, they're speaking of it from a place of disconnection. But as you address it here, it seems that extraordinary experience caused, or forced is a better word, because it was a sort of quantum leap sort of experience that launched you into alignment in a stronger way, and therefore you were looking at the world through the eyes of Source just a little bit. Esther and Jerry have had the experience often. In fact, especially in the beginning, Jerry used to say to Esther that if anyone came to her as she is coming off the platform after speaking for Abraham, that in her state of allowing, if someone said, "Come and go with me," she would probably go. Because she is in a sort of altered state. It takes sometimes a little bit of adjustment. Interesting, someone asked Esther just now, why does it take no time for Abraham to leave and a little bit more time for Abraham to come? And Esther said, because when Abraham leaves, they just go. And when they come, I have to get out of the way. And we would say, in answer to what you're talking about here, there is an adjustment either way. In other words, it takes Esther a little bit of time to focus back in to her experience from the vantage point that she is about. However, we think it would be better for all of you if when you achieve your vibration of alignment that you just maintain it. Esther threatens Jerry from time to time, I think I'll just get Abraham to come in and you can just live out the rest of your life with Abraham, because... And there are days when Jerry thinks that sounds good.
So why did I want to come back from that then? I mean, if it was,
Well, because you've come here to focus. In other words, because you don't have to withdraw from this physical time, space, reality focus in order to achieve that alignment. You can achieve that alignment and then focus into this time, space, reality. In other words, alignment and then focus. Alignment with who you are and then focusing is the best of all of it. Esther had
So was I actually in alignment for 2 weeks?
Well, not exactly, but more so than usual, enough that out of alignment felt off to you. And it's interesting, Esther had 2 sort of altered states of consciousness experience yesterday, both coming right off the platform. One of them, Esther, at the end of the segments, Karen always saves the document, and if they are just taking a 20-minute break, they leave the computer sitting there. But if it is during the segment of lunch, Esther likes to take the computer with her. And so it was the 3rd segment. It wasn't the segment of lunch. And Karen saved the document but didn't shut it down, as she never does at that point. And Esther thought, that's odd. I wonder why Karen didn't shut it down. And as Esther was walking up the hallway with her computer, she actually thought she was on her way to lunch, even though you had already eaten lunch. And Esther said, teasing to herself, I'm losing it. And we say, it's not that you were losing it, you just hadn't tuned back into it.
Well, then I used to do that a lot when I was young. I used to run into things and that sort of thing, and because I was in that state.
Well,
and I didn't perceive that something was there, so I just would run into it.
Well, let's call it lack of focus, or which is what someone would say to you if you were running into things, or let's call it a different focus. Let's call it focus. Let's call it focusing into who you are. But the thing that we don't want you to say with this, that you're trying to say, and we're holding back the reins, is we don't want you to first strive for that instead of this. We want you to strive for that and let it be integrated in with this. We don't want it to be either or. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to be dead or alive, non-physical or physical. You can be physically focused and tuned to the higher vibration and then viewing what's going on here, and that's what you're looking for. And that's what that experience somehow caused an amplification of. Now, yesterday we talked quite a bit about how your now moment is made up of the juncture between the vibrational reality and your current reality. In other words, how you feel in every moment is about the blend between the two of those. And we want to take this opportunity to amplify that you cannot ever really separate the two of those, because you cannot cease to be the non-physical energy being that you are. And when your emphasis is upon that part of who you are, and then you are focused upon what you are doing, that's the perfect blending. Being the non-physical energy out here on the leading edge, exploring.
And is that when you find the stuff that you've lost?
Yes, because from that point of view, you have full view. Now, this goes further. Apparently, I didn't have full view, Abraham. I was running into things. Apparently, I didn't have full view. I forgot what I was doing or what time of the day we were in. But we still want to say you have full view in the sense that when you achieve vibrational alignment with what's in that vibrational escrow, you then have full view of what's in that vibrational escrow. So when you're saying, well, where's my stuff? And we say it's in the vibrational escrow, and you raise your vibration and you get in there where it is, and then you say, but I'm running into other things. We say, well, it's a bridge. It's a step in the right direction. In other words, wouldn't you rather? Wouldn't you rather? Let us ask you, and we're not trying to make you decide. We're just wanting to influence you strongly. But which would you rather be tuned to, knowing what you now know about creation? Would you rather be tuned to the vibration of who you really are, or would you rather be firmly rooted in the vibration of the personality that you've defined here? And you might want to say, well, do I have to make a choice? And we say, well, we're forcing this choice right now. If you have the choice of being in alignment with who you really are or out of alignment with who you really are, what do you choose? You say, well, I choose being in alignment with who I really am. And we say, well, even if being in alignment with who you really are makes this temporary experience seem fuzzy, do you still choose it? And you say, Well, I'm not sure.
Clearly
and we
I
say,
did.
well, that's those false premises that we've been talking about. In other words, if you want to be so rooted here where you see everything as everyone else sees it, and the other people are agreeing with you in your worldview, do you want human agreement with your worldview, or do you want source agreement with your universal view?
I want source again.
Choose that first. And we promise you that once you get involved in that vibration and you acclimate to it consistently so that you're a vibrational match to it, the source within you will use your physical apparatus in a way that you won't feel fuzzy, you'll feel sharper. You won't feel confused, you'll feel clear. You won't feel wondering or fragile or off your game. You'll feel on your game. You'll be in the zone. You'll be tuned in, tapped in, turned on.
So how do I do that consciously? I mean, I understand
Have
meditation.
another plane crash.
It seems a bit dramatic.
Well, it is dramatic. And so we've been talking about the juncture where you rendezvous, you and you,
but there was
is really about the vibration of your desire and the vibration of your belief. And so when you had an experience, we called it a sort of quantum leap experience, where who you really are became more dominant. What that means is you ask the question, well, why didn't I remain only non-physical? Why did I refocus into back into the physical? And we say, because your desire, what was in your vibrational escrow, still included the exposure to experience here. In other words, when this time-space reality and your relationship with it still has the wherewithal to satisfy a lot that you're asking for, then remaining physically focused is always the best choice. And therefore, in the absence of resistance, look, we want to begin again here. Creation of anything, deliberate creation, is when you want it and you believe it, then there's no separation between the vibration and it is. But we say on occasion, and we don't like to give this to you very often because you tend to make life harder for yourself than you need to. But when you really, 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 really want something, it almost doesn't matter what you believe about it, because your desire for it is so strong that it will triumph. But it's a harder way to go. So we would, in other words, just by your sheer power of wanting, sometimes you can override contradictory beliefs, but it's hard. This is sort of an example of that, where your sheer desire was stronger than your belief at the time, and so your desire won out. So now your question is, well, how can I, in a less stressful way, accomplish that same thing? And we say, that's where we began today. A belief is only a thought that I keep thinking. So I am now making a determination. I'm making a strong statement, and I really, really mean it. That I'm going to, today, no matter where I'm going, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to look for things that I want to see.
And I'm going to find my stuff.
I'm going to train and I will find my stuff when I train myself into the vibrational awareness of where it is. Yes.
Is it in different places? I mean, is it in different vibrational places?
You queued us up for a perfect line. It's not in different places in any sense, except that it's in a different place than you are. It's in a different vibrational place than you are. Because now look at it this way. So you've been sifting through, creating this vibrational escrow, and here is this vortex of attraction where all, hear it, cooperative things that are necessary for the complete culmination of whatever you're asking for are rendezvousing. All cooperative things. What does that mean? All cooperative things. All things of the same vibrational attitude. All cooperative things have already been summoned, and it is done. You're the only holdout. Not you, but...
No, I figuratively.
Because you're uncooperative in the sense that you're beating the drum of the opposite or the absence of what you want. When you stop doing that, you'll no longer be uncooperative, and you'll be, by law of attraction, called into where it is, and then it will all come into full view. And then you'll say...
Oh, happy day.
It was there all along. It was there all along. It was there all along. It was zigging while I was zagging.